Then he goes on to say, or to ask the question, could science ever show that God doesn't exist? Could it show that naturalism is true? Again, that's the main point of most of these scholars is naturalism, the belief that all there is physical reality. To be sure, scientific evidence can potentially tell against certain specific religious dogmas where the doctrines make the claim about the physical world. So that's the only time when they can enter into.
So when these doctrines touch on claims about the physical world, then science can opine on that, because it's talking about the physical world.
Right. Yeah. Science and religion, he says, can dialogue, as they say. Moreover, beliefs about God can certainly affect the epistemic plausibility of a scientific hypothesis. For example, a trenched belief that naturalism will make certain theories more attractive, epistemically speaking. And he says, take, for example, blind and unguided evolution. It's the only game in town for unbelievers. So no matter what the evidence, it has got to bear a lot of explanatory weight. And I forget the name of the guy. He's not a believer, but I think he's from the UK, and he just takes evolution to task. In fact, he tends to be sometimes on panels where it's evolution and creation or evolution, intelligence, design. He tends to be the only atheist on the side, and he talks about how terrible evolution is, and I'll find him and put him up in the show notes for this. So even when you have someone who doesn't believe in God, it's the ability to object to evolution and just kind of all the claims that it makes. Yep. There you go. See, that's why we keep Tony around for those names. To take a more extreme example, if you begin by assuming that naturalism is true, making this a principle or what we call an axiom, so kind of like that foundational point, then it is no wonder that one of your conclusions would be that God doesn't exist or that he didn't create the cosmos, right? And that makes sense. We say that God made the universe. He's a non-physical being. He enters into creation, and evolutionists come along and say the only thing possible are physical things. Therefore, God doesn't exist. Yeah. Well, right, and it's something that
if indeed the only thing that's possible is not physical things, then clearly God doesn't exist. Yes, right.
And that's what C.S. Lewis claimed in his really good book Miracles, and it's almost a presuppositional book. Is if your worldview doesn't allow for things like miracles, when I tell you that Jesus rose from the dead, your automatic assumption is, well, that's not possible. Why? Well, because people don't rise from the dead. Right. Okay, well, that's a great non-starter. Well, I believe that no one rises from the dead. Okay, well, I told you someone did. Well, I know that's not possible.
Yeah, because miracles can't happen.
Right. There's this really, really good quote that I wanted to kind of read the whole thing because it really shows from Lee Smolin, this doctor who wrote 3 Roads to Quantum Gravity. Actually, I don't know if he's a doctor. So he wrote this. And listen to all the points that he makes concerning a worldview. And I think it doesn't lack presuppositionalism here. So we humans are the species that make things. So when we find something that appears to be beautiful and intricately structured, our almost instinctive response is to ask, who made that? The most important lesson to be learned if we are to prepare ourselves to approach the universe scientifically is that it is not the right question to ask. So that's a no question.
No.
Yeah. It is true that the universe is as beautiful as it is intricately structured, but it cannot have been made by anything that exists outside it.
Okay.
For by definition, the universe is all there is, and there can be nothing outside of it. And by definition, neither can there have been anything before the universe that was caused it, for if anything existed, it must be part of the universe. So that the first principle of cosmology must be there is nothing outside the universe. Wow. Where did you get that from? I mean, just all those.
Well, everybody knows that.
Yeah. Oh, it's by definition. The universe
that's the definition of universe. Yeah. There's nothing else outside of it.
You need one verse, talk out of one word, the universe came about. There you go. See, I can do it too. It's just that quote was. I mean, people who research books for publication and find these quotes. I mean, they're perfect. And so just the amount of. Hopefully this drives in the point that it's not about facts. It's not about who's able to glob on to okay, we've pulled fossils away from those evil evolutionists, and now we can use it as evidence for God, and we can point to the manuscripts of the Bible, but they can pull in the claims that Jericho never fell in the way that the Bible describes. It's not that. It's about, again, the first point, the axiom, the principle is about worldview and how important it is.